Every major racing championship around the world has a form of yellow flag that slows the field to clear a hazard on track. NASCAR throws a caution, Formula 1 has a safety car and a virtual safety car depending on how severe the incident is, and some tracks like the Nürburgring use a system that only slows cars in the section of track where the incident occurred. IMSA has a system of their own which is generally referred to as a full course yellow, and lately I think we've been seeing far too many full course yellows be used in the race. You see, as of the last round at VIR so far in the 2024 season, IMSA's had a total of 52 full course yellows, which have lasted for a total of 13 hours, 30 minutes, and 55 seconds. Meanwhile, in terms of green flag running, we've seen 41 hours, 1 minute, and 46 seconds of green flag racing this year. So that means almost 25% of all of the racing time this year has been spent under yellow. Now, yes, accidents are gonna happen. I mean, it's inevitable in any motorsport series. And many of IMSA's tracks tend to be more on the old school side with fewer paved runoff areas. So naturally, these full course yellows are gonna be more common to help get accidents and cars cleaned up. But too many of these full course yellows can cause problems, and I think that's where we're approaching now. Recently, we've seen so many full course yellows that it has had massive impacts on the outcome of some races. The issue that needs to be addressed, in my opinion, is not necessarily the incidents where there's multiple cars involved or a large amount of debris somewhere on track. It's incidents where there's a single large piece of debris on track, or a car that's stranded off track and could be easily pushed behind the wall at a marshal's post. These are the types of incidents that drive me a little bit bananas right now, and where I think IMSA's approach to yellows could be improved. Now, one of the factors that's contributing to why we're losing so much racing time from these full course yellows is just IMSA's full course yellow procedure. Generally, IMSA's full course yellow involves multiple wave arounds, as well as opportunities for pit stops to take place. This is done in a way to limit teams from getting a strategic disadvantage as a result of that full course yellow coming out. And honestly, this all adds an additional strategic element to the race, which I actually overall really like the system. It bunches the field up, it gives us more opportunities for battles to help develop throughout this race. And the wave around procedure also gives teams an opportunity that found some misfortune earlier in the race, an opportunity to claw their way back into contention. The major issue that I have with the system is the amount of time that it takes to complete. With there being multiple wave arounds and pit stops taking place, a full course yellow procedure in IMSA can regularly take 15 to 20 minutes to properly complete. And this may not sound all that bad for a legitimate accident that needs to be cleaned up, but in my opinion, it's pretty excessive for a full course yellow simply to clean up a piece of debris. Now, the question that arises is, what can we do to reduce the number of full course yellows that we see for a simple piece of debris on track or a car that can quickly and easily be pushed behind the wall? I mean, one option that could be explored, and is something that's already somewhat available to race control, is the use of a short yellow. The short yellow greatly reduces the amount of time that a full course yellow takes by eliminating things like the wave around procedure as well as pit stops. However, I still think that this would probably be overkill for something like a piece of debris, as the safety car still has to come out, the field has to bunch up before we can get back underway. Alright, so let's look outside of IMSA and see what other racing championships have implemented. Looking to the open wheel ranks, Formula 1 of course has their virtual safety car system. This essentially slows the entire field down to a set pace until the hazard is cleared, while also keeping the pits open. In the world of sports car racing, there's a couple of other systems that we see used. Tracks like the Nürburgring implement more of a localized yellow system. This slows drivers down to a set speed in a certain section of the track where the incident took place, and allows crews to clear the wreck while having minimal impact on the racing and the rest of the track. And then we have a system like what is used in the WEC. Here they have what they call a full course yellow, which is very similar to Formula 1's virtual safety car. In a WEC full course yellow, all cars drop to 80 kilometers an hour, about 50 miles per hour, while the incident is cleared. Also notable during this time is that the pit lane is closed. And when the incident has been cleared or cleaned up, they simply just go back to green flag racing. The field is not bunched up and no safety vehicle to pace the field is deployed. Now, all of these systems would have their advantages and disadvantages if they were to be implemented in IMSA. But there is one that I think stands above the rest and could have some very positive changes if it were implemented in IMSA. First though, I think that the local yellow system used at a track like the Nürburgring would not be the best solution for IMSA. Given the diversity of tracks that the series visits, from the short street circuits to the long purpose-built circuits, I think this system would be pretty difficult to implement. Sure, this may work well at a long track like the Nürburgring, but when you need to apply this system to a street circuit like Long Beach or a shorter track like CTMP, I think there are better options. The virtual safety car system used in Formula 1 and the full course yellow system used in the WEC are pretty similar to one another, but with one key difference. F1 allows the pits to remain open when the World Endurance Championship does not. I think the better system to implement in IMSA would be closer to the World Endurance Championship's full course yellow procedure. Given the large number of cars that are on track for any given IMSA race, I think if you were to keep the pits open during this procedure, I think it would result in chaos on pit lane, with a majority of the field rushing to the pits all at once. And when you also consider that the pit box positions are generally optimized for the GT and the prototype cars to be making pit stops at different times, having the pit lane closed during a procedure like this is the only realistic way that I think this could be implemented. I could see this basically being implemented as a full course slowdown, where drivers reduce their speed and the pit lane remains closed. Then this would allow track workers to go on and clear up the debris, or quickly push the car or tow the car off to a safe spot on track, and ultimately provide minimal disruption to the racing at hand. The ultimate question that remains is, if this, we'll call it a full course slow zone, were implemented this year, how would it impact the number of full course yellows that we've actually seen? Well, I went back and looked at every single full course yellow that's happened so far in IMSA this year to see if this new theoretical slow zone, if it were implemented, would have a meaningful impact on the number of full course yellows that we're seeing. Now, I am, of course, not a race official here, but I think I've watched enough races to have a pretty good ballpark idea of how many full course yellows this could have saved us. Now, of the 52 full course yellows that we've had this year, now I just want to note that I am excluding the race opening full course yellow at Detroit, as well as the full course yellow period after the red flag at Watkins Glen. But of the 52 full course yellows that we've seen, I believe 18 of them could have been prevented had this full course slow zone procedure been implemented. Of the 18, a large number of them were for simply debris or for a single car stranded just off track that could have been pushed behind the wall quickly. And ultimately, I believe that all of these situations would have been perfect for this full course slow zone. Now, is it a perfect solution? No, probably not. But I don't think there are many people at home that want to see a full 15-20 minute full course yellow procedure only to pick up a bumper on the front stretch. I think a procedure like this would still leave us with many of the unique elements that makes IMSA great, like the wave around procedure. But it would also produce the number of silly full course yellows that could potentially impact the outcome of a race. What do you think, though? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and then go check out this video on who's going to be running the Cadillacs in IMSA next year. Huge shout out to all the channel supporters. If you too want to support the show, you can head to patreon.com/offintheesses or click that join button below. Once again, though, thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great race weekend. It doesn't go off in the S's.